Good afternoon, everyone. Thought I'd pop in and do an impromptu live broadcast. Let me just check this exposure. I think it's a bit bright. I think that's better. I'll just wait for a few more people to pop in. I'm going to go through another shoot with you that I went over on the weekend. So I thought we'd go through another one, just another small part of it. It'll be fairly quick, but you can ask some questions and stuff. I'm actually shot this time with the a7RII and the 70-200. So I'm going to bring up the actual shots and I'll show you how I shot it. The one you watched previously was shot with the A9, so I decided this time to do the a7RII because I wanted the resolution, and I'll just discuss that as we go through the images a bit later on. G'day Ben, nice to see you in here. So say hi if you are actually watching. Clearly it's very late overseas now, so there may not be too many in the live chat, and we can have a little chat later on in the questions down below if you want to ask some questions about what I did. Yeah, so the first shoot that I did the other day was actually taking you through using the A9 and the Zeiss Batis. Now, this shot was deliberately done a little bit different for me because I wanted to challenge myself to always try something new, and I think that's a great thing about photography. You should always challenge yourself. So I wanted to do this more in more demanding light, but also I wanted to do this with natural light rather than using off-camera flash. Now, the images that you're going to actually be looking at are basically straight out of the camera. They've just had a very light editing done in Lightroom. So please don't look at them from talking about as the final edited images. They're not at this stage. They're basically just straight out of the camera. So I thought I'd show you that. And they will be worked on when the girls start to have these looked at for their portfolio. They'll probably only have one from each group of shots that I did. I did some in white trees and stuff as well that I'll show you, and I did these ones looking through the trees, which was my last video. So they will have editing done to them before they got them put in their portfolios, but I just thought I'd show you the next lot of images so we can have a discussion about that. Like I said, say hello in the chat if you are actually here, because I'd love to have a talk with you guys. Now let's move over to the actual images and we can have a look. So what I wanted to do, like I said, when I showed you the other one, I was using the A9 and the Batis, shooting through the actual leaves, which gave the girls a completely different look. If I bring up that folder, let me just go to 5 and I'll see if I can take it off for you. It was these images that I shot the other day that I actually showed you. We're using the Batis and the Sony A9. So these ones were the edited images, whereas the other ones that I'm showing you now are completely unedited. So yeah, I just thought that I'd show you that. Just as a reminder about where the images or what they look like shooting with the Batis and the A9 through these sort of flowers is different look than what I'm going to get shooting full on like I am with the a7RII. So let me just go back to the images. So you can see here that I wanted to get down fairly low and I'm shooting a fair way away from the girls. Most of these shots, a lot of them are around about 200 millimeters. So I'm using the 70-200. I am using the f4 version. I don't have the 70-200 f2.8 because I don't want to be lugging around that massive piece of glass. I'm quite comfortable shooting with the 70-200 f4. It meets my requirements. I sold all of my heavy stuff when I sold all my Nikon gear. So for me now, I like to actually have things that are very light, and you know that's great for me actually working. But you can see the sort of focal range when I click on this. Oh no, actually I won't show you there yet. I'll show you the results. Now I deliberately underexposed here because I wanted to make sure that I kept the sky. Now there's very little clouds. Let me just open up this scribble so I can show you what I'm talking about. There's very little clouds in the sky, but you can see there are ones up here, and there is little highlights inside the leaves and stuff that I didn't want to blow out. So remember, I'm always exposing for those highlights, even like in her dress and stuff here as well. And you know, her arm's not really a highlight, but there is a highlight in there. Like I said, the sky, I wanted to make sure I kept detail in the sky. So that was very important to me as well. So I did underexpose. Now remember, all I'm showing you at this stage is the results that I've got in Lightroom. They haven't been taken or had any extensive retouching yet at all. This will be done in the next stage where I choose which one I'm going to put up for the girls. And then I'll basically edit that probably in Photoshop. I'll take one image from each scene and then take it into Photoshop and do some more extensive editing. Hi Sam, good to see you've made it today. So you can see if we're looking here, that's the original straight out of camera. So that's had no editing at all. Now, when I've got into Lightroom, this is the same image, but basically I've just opened it up a little bit. Like I've just increased the shadows and the blacks and increase the exposure just a little bit, and it's still let me keep the detail in the sky, which is the important thing for me. I wanted to make sure that I didn't lose that. So that's the important thing. But the interesting thing is when you're talking about resolution, and this is where this A7R2 is incredible, and the new Nikon D850 will give you the same feature. If you're looking here in the sky and looking at these two things, well, it's actually really interesting because if you start to if you actually blow these up, it's actually a B. Now, you can't really see it probably too much if you're looking at it on YouTube, but it's actually a B. I can see it's on my side. I can actually see its wing, its legs, and everything on the side. So the resolution on these cameras is incredible. And this is what I love about shooting something that has so much resolution, because if I did want to crop in, it gives me that ability that I actually can crop in. And when you look at that, when you see that that's a B, I can see the little stripe of the B in there. It's a pity you probably won't see this on YouTube, but I can see the stripe of the bee, I can see its little wings, its feet, and also the little antennas. But, you know, when you're looking at it originally like that and it's just a tiny little dot, it's just amazing how much resolution that you're actually getting out of these sensors. And that's the incredible thing about using something that has around that, 40 megapixel size, and if you're looking at, say, wanting to crop into the flowers, well, then again, you're going to get all that detail in with the pixels, because there's enough pixels to do it. So this is the reason why I wanted to shoot this with the A7R2, because I wanted all the details in the flowers. Remember, these images, when you're talking about it, you can only have so many pixels in an image, and the more pixels you have, the more detail you will have in areas like this, for instance, or when you wanted to look at, say, that bee. The more pixels you have, that gives you ability to see those details. If I shot this with the A9, I wouldn't have had that ability to crop in this much. Now, I'm obviously not going to crop in that much, but if I did want to crop in, it will make a massive difference. But it definitely makes a difference if you want to, say, crop in and still keep the detail in the image. And it does make a big difference for me, being a high-end retoucher. The more resolution you have, the more you have to work with on your images. So it's very important to me to work that way. But just to show you basically how this worked out, we've got a few here now. I'll just say hi to KaiPro. Sniperv is here as well. Great to see you guys. As I said, I can see the bee. It's crazy. I know, I just keep clicking back at that and looking at that bee, and it's just awesome. It just freaks me out that you can see all that detail in the bee. It's just, the resolution on that A7R2 is just amazing. And I just love it when you're dealing with images like this. If we even come into Hannah, you can see there all the detail in the hair and everything has all been kept. And this has had no sharpening or anything done. So this is basically, like I said, straight out of camera. When I sharpen this later on, a lot more information will actually come out. So these images are basically, like I said, straight out of the camera, and they have to have retouching done, for instance, around the eyes. Because I'm not using lighting in this scenario, it will need a little bit more work in post than what it would have if I actually used flash. But like I said, I wanted to deliberately challenge myself in this. Now, when we're looking through, basically, I just wanted the girls to try just a few different poses. So I was down very low. As you can see, I'm actually down on my knee here when I'm shooting these, so I am very, very low. And I like to shoot down low when you're doing these type of images, because that also lets me see all of the trees. It gets me down nice and low, so when I focus in, it's a nice perspective when you're shooting girls in this way. That way I'm getting the full trees up the top, and I'm cropping out part of the bottom, and it's showing a nice part of the sky as well. And basically what I'm doing here with the girls is just trying some different poses that I think may look nice once I start editing them. So I've just had a discussion with the girls. Now, I've deliberately tried in most situations to tell them to be facing towards the sun. The sun was actually coming in this way. So I have tried where I can to ask them to move their face up into that area. And there's a lot more images of this where they're actually looking up and they look beautiful. I've just wanted to keep this fairly small, so I'm not showing all of them. But basically that will immediately get rid of the shadows and stuff on the face that you've got to be careful of. They're things that you've got to be conscious of if you're shooting in daylight like this. This was around about 11 o'clock, so the sunlight was very harsh here. I'm shooting at 1/1000th of a second, and I'm shooting at f7.1 here, and this was 113 millimeters in the focal length. Again, this was 1/1000th of a second again, 142 mil, and it's using the 70-200 f4. Again, they're all using... now these, just to point out too, I was using just the constant tracking here when she was walking, and it nailed the focus. It was on continuous focus. And basically all I did was it had face detect on, and I just put it in continuous and just kept firing away, and it nailed the focus as she kept walking towards me. Some of the girls were walking quite fast and it still nailed the focus. And the focus was actually really, really sharp on these images. It'll take a second to redraw. But yeah, they're really sharp. And like I said, these have had no sharpening yet done. It's sharper definitely on my monitor than what I'm seeing on the screen next to me, which is what you're seeing on YouTube. So you're not going to be able to go by that too much. But it's lovely and sharp if you're looking inside these areas of the flowers and stuff. And again, she was just walking along, so I was just getting her to walk towards me, just trying to walk as natural as possible. Now, this last one here, you can see I like this shot actually. I love the way she's not actually just looking at me. She's looking a little bit to the side, which I think's great. But the crop, this is the reason why I wanted to shoot with the a7RII, was because that's the same image and I've been able to crop in. Now again, like I said, this will be retouched. It'll get rid of those shadows under the eye and things like that, and probably even some of the shadows on the face will be softened and things like that when I get into the retouching side of this. But I wanted to talk to you about why I use the a7RII as against using the A9 in this scenario. And this was why I actually said to you that there's no perfect camera, and that's the reason why I took both cameras on the day, the A9 and the a7RII. Again, another girl. There was a stack of girls that actually did this. I asked Chanel to walk away here, but again, I've asked her to turn her face into the sun just so that she is lit on that side. And again, if I do a crop, you can sort of see there what's going on. And again, I will have to work on the shadows and stuff too. It was deliberately done too to try and work in challenging light, and I love doing this to try and challenge myself and see what I can do with the girls as well. Let me just bring up the chat because I'm curious to know if you guys have anything to say. Where are we? Hey David, my 100-400 lens arrived today. I love it. Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, I'd love to try that lens. One day I may get that because, like I said, I'd love to do some birding shots and stuff with it, with the A9. It would be incredible. Just getting used to the weights. That's quite heavy, is it? That's interesting. Snipervis says, oh, I can see the bee. Yeah, and that's what I was saying. That it's so cool being able to zoom in like that and see a bee. I've got some shots which I'll show in another shoot. I've got two more of these I want to show you. Excuse me. There's ones where they're in the white leaves, which I'll show in the next video, and the one after that is where we're shooting canola, and I think some of them may have had butterflies fly past. So I'm hoping that I captured them. I haven't looked at that yet either. Do you ever do low light shoots? Yes, most of my shoots are low light. Like I said, this is unusual for me to be shooting this type of work. A lot of the stuff I'm doing is with flash, and like I said, I love going into Melbourne and working low light, things like that. Jim said, greetings, David, Susie. Susie's in the back there, Jim, which is cool. Vic says, joined us here. Susan said, g'day, David. And Ben said, what monitor do you use? I've got an Apple Mac monitor, Ben, and also I'm using an LG widescreen one here in front of me, but I've got three monitors that's sort of around me. I've got a massive television up in the corner, and then this is an LG, and my other monitor is the Apple Mac 24-inch. So do you have any more questions about that, guys? You can ask now. Another really exciting thing is next week I've been offered from Profoto to use the new A1 flash for the weekend. So I'm going to actually review that. I'm trying to organise a model as well that may want to come and do that shoot with you. So I'm going to review that on a shoot. So I can't wait to try that out because, as you know, I'm a big Profoto user and I'm dying to try this new A1 light that's just been released by Profoto. So stay tuned for that. I mean, obviously, it's a very expensive flashlight. I think it's around 1,000 US. I'll give my opinions about that. But for me, who shoots Profoto, it's like for me, I'd love to get my hands on one of these. So I will review it, and I'll show you how it compares to, say, my on-camera Sony flashes. I am going to have to use probably Canon cameras, though, on that day as well as my Sony gear, because the flash that they've only got the Canon version at the moment here in Australia. There's a Nikon version which will be released very soon, and they're also going to release a Sony version very soon as well. But the interesting thing is, I believe that I can shoot the new A1 off camera with my Sony Air remote for Profoto, so I will be able to show you how that works off camera with my A7RII. So I can't wait to try it. It is expensive, but again, you know I love Profoto, so I can't wait to get my hands on that. So that will be happening not this weekend, the following weekend, and I've got it for the whole weekend, so I'll be doing a couple of shoots, so I'll be able to show you how that works. So stay tuned for that. Sniper V said, new Profoto looks nice, but it's expensive. Yes, it is expensive, but I believe it will be nice, but I'll let you know when I review it. They're not paying me to use this. It's totally for me to just try out and review for you guys so you can see how it works. So I'm getting no money at all from Profoto. It's just that I've contacted them and they've contacted me, and I'm going to be able to borrow it for a whole weekend. So it's going to be terrific to do that. Stummet says, getting here late in Iowa. Yeah, it's nearly 12 o'clock, but hang in as long as I can. Enjoy the background info of shots. Thanks, mate. Thanks for watching. Sniper V said you should ask to try the new Rotolight Neo 2. Yeah, I mean, I probably will. I don't know whether you can get them in Australia yet, but I'd like to try them. I noticed Jason has put a lot of videos out trying that. I've got the Neo 2, the Neo 1. I am using that. So I'm not sure, though, whether I'll probably buy that at this stage. I might wait and just see what happens in that sector at this stage. To be honest, I'm quite comfortable if I'm talking about flash using my Profoto units, and I am very addicted to my ice lights, which are incredibly soft lights. I've got a feeling the Neo Rotolights will be very similar to the version 1. They are more powerful, and I love using those. I love using the Neo Rotolights. But I really do adore using the ice lights. But yeah, I mean, if Rotolight contacted me to say, David, you can try these out and review them, I'd love to have a go at trying it, because they seem to be really good for what they are. I can't comment too much about them at this stage, though, because I haven't used them. So all I've seen is what Jason's showed on his channel, and they seem to work really, really well. So a lot of my shooting too is things like overpowering the sun, or I don't want the strobes to be too close to the subject, and that can be an issue, I suppose, if you're talking about these sort of lights, which is the ice lights and the Neo Rotolights. They do have to be reasonably close if you're putting them in a softbox, whereas I like to shoot more environmental, which means I need the flashes often to be a fair way away from the client. But there certainly would be a place for them, and they seem to be really good. So yeah, hopefully Rotolight might, when we get them down here, may give me the opportunity to try one out. So that'd be good. I know a few people have ordered them, so you can let me know too when you start to get them. I think it's still a month away though, isn't it, before they're released. So do you have any other questions, guys, about anything before I close off? I will do another video tomorrow for you. I might do another one of these. I'm not sure. I know tomorrow's, yeah, Thursday. I'll probably do a live show again as well. Glad these EPS remain on your channel as I'm off to the Gold Coast tomorrow. Oh, that'd be nice. And we'll miss the Profoto live shoot. Well, I probably will show little bits of it live, Sam, but a lot of it is going to be filmed, and I'll actually show it as a video that's got the images and stuff that way as well. I might just do a couple of live snippets with it around Melbourne. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how they go. I'm really excited. I can't wait to try it because, like I said, it is an expensive light, but it looks beautiful what it does, and it integrates with all my other Profoto lights. So I'll be interested to try it and see how powerful it actually is. So I'll certainly let you all know about that. I've had lots of questions and comments on the video I posted yesterday about the Nikon statements, which has been really good. Some really good comments in there. So if you haven't seen that video, have a look at it and leave some comments in there too. It's great. I've had a few Nikon shooters commenting, a few Canon shooters commenting, so it's been really, really good. In no way was I slamming things like the Nikon D850 though, because I think that's an amazing camera and I'd love to try that camera. But still, I'm so now heavily invested in mirrorless, and and I love the looking at the EVF and things like that I just don't think I could go back to digital SLRs now. But I am going to have to, which is going to be interesting for you guys next week when I do the Profoto shoot, because I've never shot Canon before, so it's going to be interesting for me to be shooting Canon as well as Nikon. So that's going to be interesting, and it's going to be interesting to see how the file compares to, say, the 5D Mark IV, how my a7RII compares to that. So I'll let you know in that review as well. So it's going to be interesting. Ben said, expecting more unsubs today. That was after yesterday. No, I only had, I think, one, Ben, which was interesting. Thank God. Look, it's like everything. I'm not going to change the way that I am. I'm always going to be honest with you guys, and I'm not going to hold anything back, because unlike other YouTube reviewers out there, a lot of them are sponsored and they have to be very careful about what they say. Well, I don't. I'm just going to be completely honest with you guys, and sometimes it may offend people, and unfortunately that's just the way it is. But like I said, I'm not paid by anyone to say anything, so I'm just going to say the truth as what I see it from. So yeah, it's just the way it is. Sam said, laugh out loud, as I said yesterday, I've been paid for photos and I took at an event with my little Fuji X30, and that makes me a pro. Yep, and you're right. Anyone that gets money paid for it is a pro. Delta Dave said, do a Canon V versus A9 comparison. Yeah, well, I might try, but the thing with it is, Dave, that I'm not sure that Profoto Lite will work fully with the A9, because I know at the moment I'm still waiting on an update for Profoto for the A9 version of that. So I'm convinced that it will work fully. So I may have to use it with the a7RII. I might take my A9 to give it a go and see if it works, or I might be able to shoot manual perhaps. And because it's in the evening, it probably will work. It might work because I can be under the natural shutter speed, which is 2/50th, the natural sync speed of the flash, then it will work. So I'll see how I go. But yeah, I might do a Canon A9, Canon versus A9 comparison if I have that cameras for the weekend too. So I'll have the Canon for the weekend as well. So yeah, I might do that. That could be interesting. Ben said, too bad he'll never know how little impact his leaving has had. Ben said, laugh out loud. Sam said, just keep doing what you do, mate, staying real and honest. And like I said, that's the way I am. Even if people offer me things and stuff, I'm still going to be honest about it. The thing with me is I'm excited about the Profoto unit because, I mean, I do love Profoto, and that's the thing. I do love their gear, and I'm excited to try how this will work with my other gear. But like I said, it's not cheap gear. It is expensive. Like I said, it's $1,000 US for this flash, and I'll let you know how it works for me. A lot of you, obviously, it's probably going to be outside of your price range, but if you are buying Profoto gear, it's a no-brainer that you probably would want to add this into your kit. So I'll talk about that too. Delta Dave said, non-flash, natural light skin tone comparison. Okay, well, that'd be interesting. Yeah, I could try that, actually, with the A9 and the Canon. Yeah, that might be something that I can try. Let me mark these down. Because people are always talking about that, aren't they? Let me get a pen. Because that's actually quite a good task, actually. So I might do that, Dave. I might actually try that. I'll try a natural skin comparison and just see how the color science looks as against the... I'm not sure. They weren't sure yet whether they're going to give me a 5D Mark IV or a 5D Mark III. It depends on whether they've gone out. So I'm not sure which Canon I can get yet. I'm not even sure which lenses I can even get. I think I'm trying to get the 70-200, but I'll see which lens I get and stuff like that. But yeah, I will try and do that for you, Dave, if I will get time. I mean, I've got it over the whole weekend, so I'll certainly let you know in the reviews. I might do a few separate reviews on this. I'll actually do the, I'll obviously do how the Profoto A1 flash works, and then I might then also do the comparison between the two cameras, how they both work, and even the 70-200 as against the f4. The only problem is I've only got the f4 Sony version, where they'll probably give me the 2.8 Canon version, but even that'll be an interesting comparison to see how they how they all work. Vincent said, have you ever made a retouching tutorial? Yeah, I have. I've done one on my channel, Vincent. It's somewhere on there. If you scroll through all my videos, you'll eventually find it. I am going to do more. It's just I haven't had time. I am planning on showing a lot more of my retouching and things like that for you as well over the coming weeks. So yeah, I will eventually get to that. There's still so much more that I want to show you before I get to the retouching though fully, which is, you know, this setting up your wedding and photography business. I've got to get back onto that to start showing that a bit more, and obviously some other shoots that I've got happening as well. So that will happen too as the time goes on. So if you do have any questions or anything you'd like me to try when I've got the Profoto, g'day Tim, how you going? If you have any questions that you'd like me to or things you'd like me to look at when I have this camera, let me know in the question box down below, because that would be great. It'll give me some ideas about what you'd like me to test for you. Remember, I'll have the Profoto A1. I'll probably test that against the Sony off-camera flashes that I have. Oh, thanks so much, Dave. I'll test it against the Sony flashes that I've got and show you how the differences work there. It also has an LED light in it, which you can use for video as well, so I might even try a bit of that and just see how that works. And if you want, yeah, I'll also do a comparison between, say, the Canon Mark IV against the A9. That'll be an interesting comparison as well, so I'll probably be able to do that for you too over that weekend, seeing I've got both cameras. I will have a bit of a learning curve though, because like I said, I've never shot Canon in my life, so it's going to be an interesting task. I'm going in Thursday to Profoto out there, and they'll give me, obviously show me how to use the gear. So I'm going out there Thursday afternoon, and then I'll obviously learn how to use it, and it'll give me a bit of time that I can practice doing the shoot. Yeah, so I'll probably do that as well. But I'll let you know. So leave any of those questions down below, and I'll then know about what you want me to test as well in those cameras as well. Vincent said, awesome. You are appreciated. Another idea for a video is showing how you prepare your images for prints. Oh yeah, that could be an interesting task as well. I will talk about some of those, Vincent, in the setting up your business, because I will start to talk about where I send prints off to and how that all works and things like that. And I'll show the software I use and things like that. So that will come in later videos too, with setting up your wedding and photography business as well. Well, that's about really all I want to get onto, guys, because it's just interesting things happening in the next couple of weeks. So I'll keep you updated. I'll probably see you again tomorrow for another video. I'll probably have the live tomorrow. The Sony rumours and stuff as well tomorrow. So we'll do that in the morning again. I'll probably do that around about 9 or 10 o'clock my time here. And so you can wait for that. Just let me check a couple of things. Remember, what you see is not what you get on the Canon. Yeah, I'll be trying to look for the EVF. That's going to be interesting, isn't it? I'll have to think back to my Nikon days. Luckily, I shot Nikon, so it shouldn't be an issue. But it will be weird going back to not having an EVF. It's going to be a bit strange. Ben said, put 2 or 3 A1s in your bag for the wedding. Will be a bit expensive. I saw Adorama's live intro for the A1, and it wasn't earth-shattering. Okay, well, that'd be interesting, Ben, to just see. Well, I'll let you know, I mean, how they work for me. Like I said, it's probably an interesting thing for me because I already have Profoto. It's like a no-brainer for me to get one of these because they talk automatically with my other lights. And that could be an amazing thing just to have it on camera, because I have to still put the Air remote onto my camera to fire off the Profotos. So if I can incorporate this A1 on the top of the camera and use that for a little bit of fill, but then also be controlling my B1s off camera, it will be an amazing experience. So I may be looking at a little bit different than what you would, Ben, with not having Profoto. But if you definitely have Profoto already, or you're thinking about going down that line, they probably are an amazing actual flash to have. But I'll let you know when I test it. But for me, it probably will be a really good thing, but it may not be if you haven't got any Profoto units at all. So, yeah. Ben said $1,000 is hefty for a controller, but the thing you got to understand, Ben, too, is if you haven't got the Air remote, though, the Air remote is around about $400, so that's expensive in itself. So if you didn't buy the Air remote, then you're not for the actual flash unit, if that makes sense. So if you haven't got an Air remote, it's actually not too bad to actually get that flash as well, because by the time you bought the Air remote, it's like almost buying another Sony flash as well on top of that. So, but look, I don't have to justify anything that I say about using Profoto. They're very expensive, like anything. It's like any other gear. There are expensive cars and there's cheaper cars. It depends on what you actually want to use at the time, Ben. So, you know, if you're finding it's not for you, well, then clearly it's just not for you. And that's the thing. You have to make a decision yourself. For me, I'm heavily invested in Profoto. So for me, it's not really an issue sort of having to spend that kind of money. But if you haven't got any of that gear at all, I can understand it. But like I said, for me, it's a bit of a no-brainer in my situation, because I think it would just add to the system. I certainly wouldn't be buying 3 of these or whatever. I've already got 2 B1s, so, or 3 B1s, I should say. But it might be a good thing that I can just add for it if I'm doing run and gun stuff, that I can have that, just one B1, and they'll work together seamlessly. And it could be really good in that scenario. And I'm also interested to see how powerful the video light is too. You know, that I may be able to use that as well. But I'll let you know. I'll let you know when I actually test it. So yeah, it'll be interesting to actually see. I don't think they're released yet, so I'm excited about getting it before they're actually released here in Australia. So I think they're only on pre-order at this stage. So yeah, so I'll let you know. Any last questions before I go or finish for the day? Doesn't seem to be. I'll give it a minute or so just to see if anyone else has any other last questions. I don't think you have. Well, we might leave it there, guys. So I'll see you for tomorrow's live. Oh, there's one more. Let me just check. I live in the Bay Area, California. If I lived in Australia, I would work for you for free to be your apprentice. You're a great teacher. Thank you so much, Vince. And I do have people work with me. Ben, who commented in here before, is sort of worked with me, and he's learning a little bit off me as well. So yeah, I do that for a lot of people. Often for weddings, I'll actually ask, and people will come and work with me. They'll often carry my gear around or something, and I don't pay them because they're actually just learning for free off me. Sometimes if they're working as a second shooter, obviously I would pay, but I offer for people just to come and watch me, and they can see how it works as long as they carry my gear. So it's basically like a mentoring system for those type of people. So that's what I encourage all of you to do. If you haven't got experience, is to try and do that for a photographer, offer to carry their bags and stuff like that for free, and see if they'll do that for you to be able to learn and try and get a mentoring done that way. Ben said, I live in New York, and if I lived in Australia, it would be a competition. And crush you under my heel. That's it, Ben. When I come to New York, we're going to do a shoot-off. It's going to happen, because I will be in New York. It's going to happen. You're going to have to put your money where your mouth is, because it's gonna be on. I love it. I may even come next year. I'm not sure yet. I'm still deciding where to go next year, so I'll let you know. All right, guys, so I'm going to leave it there for today, and I'll see you again for the next video. Yeah, no worries, Ben. It's on. I won't forget. Anyway, g'day, guys. Catch you in the next video, and I'll see you tomorrow for the live Sony news and rumours video. Bye, guys.